Welcome to this explainer. Go ahead, pull up a chair, lean in, and just settle down for a second. We're going to lower the lights today and set a bit of a hushed campfire tone, right? Because we're about to analyze some real case files from a practicing psychic healer. Our goal? To understand the actual mechanics of the supernatural. Look, this isn't about cheap jump scares. It's about really dissecting the anatomy of a haunting using first-hand accounts.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here's a question for you. What happens when human obsession outlives the actual human body? It's a cold, honestly terrifying thought, isn't it? But it serves as the perfect hook into the dark mysteries we're going to decode today. Because as we'll see in our source material, ghosts aren't always just these sad, fading echoes of the past. Sometimes they are violently active obsessions that absolutely refuse to let go of the living.
Part 1. Rules of the Paranormal, the Mechanics of the Afterlife. You see, to truly understand the horror of the case files we're about to open up, we really have to learn the lore first. The supernatural actually operates on a surprisingly rigid set of rules. We've got to understand the why before we can even look at the how. According to the source material from our healer, human consciousness doesn't just wander aimlessly after death. There are specific human vices that act as literal anchors. They trap a soul on earth, especially after an unnatural or violent death. We're talking about greed, attachment, ego, revenge, and lust. Think of it like this. If a person dies with their mind completely consumed by one of these intense emotions, they don't move on. They become tethered, literally locked on to the living target of their obsession. Moving on to Part 2, Case File, the Stalker, an obsession that defied death. So we're looking at a young woman named Tanu in Punjab. She found herself the target of a relentless, absolutely terrifying man nicknamed America. And as you'll see, this wasn't just a standard haunting, it was a devastating obsession that defied death itself. Let's move to the timeline and see how this threat builds. This guy, America, was a traffic police officer, massive, intimidating guy, and actually the cousin of Tanu's new husband. Day 1, he makes an inappropriate first visit, forcing physical boundaries during a traditional greeting. Week 2 rolls around, and he starts relentlessly stalking her on the streets, just staring her down with absolute shamelessness. By month 1, his obsession was so aggressively public that the village council actually had to intervene. And during that meeting, America audaciously declared he was going to marry his own sister-in-law. Finally, month 2 brought this inevitable, brutal climax. After making threats, his own brothers ambushed him on his scooter and murdered him with bricks. But, and here is the key, his dying words and thoughts were totally fixated on Tanu. That fixation sealed his fate as a vengeful spirit permanently anchored by lust and ego. Now, what's really interesting about this next part is what we can call the relatability trap. We always picture paranormal events happening in like abandoned mansions or spooky graveyards. But these entities draw their immense power by violating the mundane spaces where we feel the safest. Tanu started seeing this massive entity right behind her bed in her locked bedroom mirror. It even escalated to the point where she'd walk into a public shopping mall washroom in the middle of the day, completely lock the stall door, and immediately feel him standing right there in the stall with her. It's the ultimate psychological violation. The haunting then escalated to absolute tragedy when Tanu became pregnant. During what was supposed to be a safe, quiet rest at home, she experienced a full sensory hallucination of being transported straight to an operating room. And the vision was incredibly specific. She noted, the doctor had a mask on, but his hair was sticking out from the surgical cap. It was the stalker's hair. In this terrifying waking nightmare, the entity, posing as the doctor, took her newborn and threw it across the room. Devastatingly, when she rushed to the hospital for a real ultrasound the very next morning, her baby's heartbeat had inexplicably stopped. This paranormal attack literally ended her pregnancy. And the stalker's dark anchors of lust and revenge? Well, they didn't just stop at Tanu. Her husband, who initially dismissed her fears, he told her to just have a drink and go to sleep. He actually became a victim himself. The entity haunted him so severely, appearing right in front of him at the village council building, that one night something snapped. In this bizarre trance-like state, the husband wandered out of his house barefoot, walked into a field, poured agricultural pesticide into a glass like it was a glass of milk, and drank it. He committed suicide. The ghost's revenge systematically dismantled her entire reality. Part 3. Case File, The Curse. Featuring the Vashakaran phenomenon. Let's shift the explainer to a completely different type of supernatural mechanic now. We're moving away from a rural village to a wealthy, well-off business family in Delhi, where the paranormal took the form of a highly targeted, Very intentional dark attack. So the crucial point here is understanding the specific tool used in this attack, Vashikaran. For those who might not know, this is an ancient form of dark magic designed to completely bend and control someone's will and mind. In this case file, the mind control mechanism was triggered by a rejected female factory assistant. She was seeking revenge on the father of the family after he tried to put an end to an inappropriate affair with her.
Just take a look at this stark, rapid behavioral shift. Originally, this 58-year-old father was highly successful, super disciplined, ran a massive export business. But after the curse took hold, he completely changed. Practically overnight, he abruptly shut down his factory, he became incredibly violent toward his family, and most bizarrely, he began abusing high doses of morphine, specifically injections meant for women in labor. Actually, let's pause on that. This highly specific, completely unnatural addiction in a 58-year-old man was the exact red flag that validated the family's deep suspicion. They knew for sure they were dealing with a dark, targeted curse.
In the tantric's dark magic didn't just mess with his mind, either. It physically manifested. The father eventually confessed to the healer that a pitch-black entity was actively stalking him. He described driving late at night, hitting his central locking system out of sheer panic, only for this massive dark passenger to suddenly appear in his locked car, sitting right there in the back seat. And it didn't stay in the car. It followed him home and would literally sleep on the settee in his living room, just constantly watching him, enforcing the curse's control over his every move. And this brilliantly illustrates the sheer overwhelming power of these dark mechanics. The situation inside that house became so toxic that the father's clairvoyant teenage son started seeing the spiritual fallout. The son reported a totally chilling sight. He said, "My dead grandfather was hiding behind the toilet seat, naked, crying, 'Save me, he's coming to get me.'" The dark entity had taken complete control of the home. This proves that a powerful curse can even overpower and hold your deceased protective family ancestors hostage right in their own space. It's just wild.
Part 4. Protection from the Dark, a practical remedy. I know, this material is incredibly heavy and intense, so let's break the tension a bit here. We want to offer you a practical takeaway, transitioning to the psychic healer's actual guide on defending against such dark mechanics in the real world.
If you ever feel an inexplicable lack of control, a sudden unnatural obsession, or just the heavy weight of negative energy around you, the healer provided this really simple, structured, real-world remedy. It's called the rock salt cleansing. Here's how it works. Step 1, you just add a pinch of rock salt to your bathwater. Step 2, you hold that first mug of water and chant a prayer. Now this can be to Lord Shiva, Hanuman, or whatever fits your own personal belief system. Step 3, you pour the water directly over your left shoulder. According to our source material, this simple, mindful act is incredibly effective at severing dark attachments and instantly neutralizing negative energy. It's a real game changer.
As we wrap up this explainer, I want you to remember what the source material teaches us. These entities, they feed on our vulnerabilities. They feed on our secrets, and they feed on our fear. They linger in the quiet corners of the mundane places we think are completely secure. So, take a quick look around your room right now. Are you absolutely sure you're alone? Keep questioning, keep learning, and until next time, stay safe out there.